So I'm going to walk you through the steps that I'm using to even create these signatures on fabric. And you may already do this all the time, in which case you can fast forward. But just in case somebody is watching this and says, I want to do that, but I don't know where I would start. I started off by having my family write love and their name on a piece of paper and text me a photo. Because we're spread out literally all over the country, this was the simplest way to do this. But of course, the photo may or may not be very good. So I just want to point out a couple of things that you should do when you receive this. For one thing, you're going to want to increase the exposure a lot. You want it to be as white on the background as it can be, right? Okay, then you can go to contrast. And, I'm using an iPad to do this. You could do it on your phone. And no matter what brand you have, you can do this. So I want to increase the contrast just so the white and the black are very different. And you can also adjust the black point to make the black there. Now, you're going to come to saturation. You're going to want to bring that probably all the way down because that way there won't be a blue cast to the white because you don't want to color your fabric. So I would suggest doing that. Okay, so now I'm going to crop as close to the signature as I can get. Okay? Because I don't want more than that. Now, you're going to see it's not the cleanest writing because it's in a, it's done with a pencil and it's a little bit pixelated maybe, but that's not really going to matter because I'm going to stitch over it. Okay, so I'm just going to play with the exposure until I get the cleanest print that I can. And then when I print it, I'm not going to print it giant. That's the other thing. Whenever you're printing something from a photo, if you're blowing it way up more than how it was created, like say brightness, not really working for me. There is a setting down here though that is sharpness, and you can increase that a lot, and that will help you with your signature here. Okay, so I'm just looking at the background. It's still I've got some shading in these areas. I want to make sure that that doesn't come through. So let's see. Yeah. There are other programs I could use that would give me more ability, but basically if you just take your exposure up like to 100% crazy high, you'll get a little bit of in the image, but it's not going to matter with what we're doing. Okay, so done. All right. We're going to do that with the other signatures as well. Okay, so now I've laid out all of the signatures plus one little thing that one of my grandmas wrote on a document. This is actually a program called Notability that I really love for note-taking and for printing things because it's really easy to do on my iPad. It also has a ruler, so I can kind of measure how big things will be. Because of how I'm using this, and because I'm going to be stitching over them all, I don't want them to be too small. Like an inch, about that big. It's probably going to be okay. I could make them a little bit bigger. Maybe I will. Because really they can be any size I want. I'll show you what I'm doing with them in just a moment. I love this. This I'm not stitching over. I'm just going to have it on fabric and put it in a special place. Okay, so now time to print. So I get these labels that are a full sheet. You could do different sizes, but I just get a full sheet address label, and then I just trim off the sides. It does not have to be perfect, but you don't want the sticky things to be exposed because it'll gum up your printer. And I am not in any way, like, disclaimer here, do this at your own risk. Some printers will not be able to do this. What I have found is that the very most basic printer where you feed it in through the top and it just comes straight through, those seem to be the ones that work the best for feeding fabric through the printer. You want to have something on the back like this, and you can do it with freezer paper. I've seen people do it a million different ways. I like this just because it really has worked the best for my printer, but you can experiment. But disclaimer, I am not to be held legally responsible if something happens to your printer. All right, so now I'm going to go print and we will see the result. And voila, we've got our signatures on fabric. So that came through like a dream. I usually hover over my printer when I'm printing something because, you know, who knows what's going to happen. But this thing just sailed right through. And I'll tell you, I reuse these stickers. I save the back and I will use it again because why not? But it came through perfectly. And then look at this, guys. I've got the signatures of people I love on fabric, and then plus this little note from my grandma. This is from my wedding shower, and it's advice. People wrote advice to me, and my grandma's comment is so dear. So I just want to have that, and I'm going to put it in a special place. All right. At this stage, I have learned the hard way that if water gets on these, it will run. And so I have purchased something called Fabric Crafts Water Shield. And I read about this online that it was one option. So I'm just going to spray this lightly on this thing. And there are other ways, I think, that you can do this. And frankly, it's probably not going to get wet. But I just don't want it to run and mess up my project. So might want to let that dry for a minute, but I'm not. Let that dry. It seems all right to me. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out these little signatures. And, you know, there's lots of, you could make it larger. I'm just going to do these like little patches. I want enough room around them so that it's not just the writing, because of how I'm going to use them. The fact that my sister's signature didn't come out super dark doesn't matter, because again, I'm going to stitch over these. Some of them, you know, this turned out wonderfully dark. I did a lot of contrast. I took the saturation down the whole way, turned all the exposure up all the way, and it worked really well. So, but, sorry, forget to come on camera with this. But just because this is light, it's not going to matter, because I'm going to stitch over all those little marks. Oh, these are so precious. You know, and I will tell you, so my parents and my sisters, I just asked them, hey, can you write this on a piece of paper and text it to me? And they did, after a few reminders. Do you ever rope your family into your crafts? You know, if they do this, that is just awesome. It shows they love me. But my grandma, I lost her a really long time ago now. So this was, as I said, from something that she wrote just before I got married. I've been married 21 years now. So it was a while ago. But I have now been going through all my cards and letters and things I have tucked away with the idea that I can use some of those precious signatures or documents or little notes and incorporate them into some really special projects. I am at heart a historian. It's what I did most of my school in. I am a storyteller at heart. And so preserving some of my story in a way that then I can also make art out of it is incredibly precious to me. So, all right, that is done. Now I'm going to show you what I'm doing. All right. Now, I will admit to you freely that I have already done most of this project. And I thought I just would bring you in at this point to show you some of the, some of these last things. But here is my project. I bought this little kit, a slow stitch kit of fabric from a local antique mall called Antiques Marketplace. And there is a vendor there who is not online at all, or I would link to her. She does have a Facebook page, but it doesn't seem to be really linked to her shop or anything. But anyway, I picked up this collection of red fabrics. Actually, I will show you what I picked up. because I still have one. Because do you ever see something on sale and then you buy a bunch of them? So then I thought, oh, I can have a craft night with some of my girlfriends. This has not yet happened, but it could happen. So her shop is called Bittersweet Farm Vintage, which I think is adorable. And she has a link tree. Here, I'll even hold this up. There's a QR code even. But anyway, she was selling these little packages, Red Heart Slow Stitch Kit. And I got them on sale right after Christmas. And it has all of these wonderful little fabrics. And each kit was the same. So I was thinking, oh my goodness, I'm going to rope in some friends who may or may not know that they're slow stitchers and bring them into the world of slow stitch. It has these 3 little hearts. It had these super soft flannel. It has, or I can't tell what this is. It feels almost like fleece, but it's super lightweight. I really think it is a flannel. Anyway, not a flannel like a washcloth for my UK friends. A flannel like the flannel material. Is that what you guys all call it? I don't know. Anyway, has all these great fabrics, and it had just a plain white, and then it had a little piece of some kind of napkin or a tea towel. Isn't that just a wonderful little bundle? I loved it. So the other day, I wasn't feeling up to any of my big projects, and I just wanted to start something new. So I started with one of these. And this is what I made. It's a book. It's not a needle book. Sorry, I think I shook you. It's not a needle book. It's not for anything. It is simply an object to hold and enjoy, and that I loved making. So I'm going to share with you my little book, and then I'll show you what I'm doing with all of these. So I put a doily from my stash on the front, and I seed stitched a tiny little heart, because that's kind of the theme. Obviously, it's a little bit Valentine-y, but it goes beyond that. All right. Then I stitched on a little piece of lace, and I gave it a pocket with a trinket, as Kate in the Nest would call it. I had so much fun, you guys, with this. Another little pocket, and I'll show you that in a minute. I took this trim that was in here, and I just folded it over, or I cut a few strips and slow stitched those on. Gave such nice texture here. And then I actually stitched my pocket into it. So I like that. Okay, is this not the most glorious little doily? As soon as I saw it, I knew it needed to be in a very special place. And I made this so that it's the centerfold, so that I have the full width of this piece. And by not putting another page in here, I get that. I love it, you guys. So I slow stitched a circle on this side to complement all of the ornate. I mean, what do you call this? Is it tatted lace? I think it is, but it looks a little too dense for that. So it may just be crocheted. In whatever it is so beautifully done. And I just wanted to highlight it. And by putting the red behind it, it makes it pop, but then it kind of blends in. I love how that came out. And then I stuffed this with a few little Ort threads to make it a puffy little heart. I didn't really end up using all my little hearts it came with. I actually made one into a tiny little heart pillow, and I gave it to my very dear mother-in-law. My mother-in-law has dementia, and I love her. And so the other day she was over, and she really liked my purse. So she went home with that, but it didn't have anything in it. And so I made her a little heart pillow, and she took that home, and she really liked it. So anyway, I have a little heart pillow for myself in here. I got this little piece of lace, and it just wanted to be kind of a bookmark danglies. This little charm, I just love that. And you know what? Because this had spokes on it, I realized it was perfect for a woven rose. So I did up and, over and under and over and under around that. So I was able to decorate that one little part with a woven rose. Buttons, Suffolk puff, some doilies, some lace. What I have discovered is I really love layering. And I know my Kate in the Nest friend will appreciate that. But, I do just love layers of, so I put this doily down and then I set this doily offset. And then I thought about adding a stem, but instead a collection of 3 little flowers seemed to make sense. And each one of them having different shades of pinks and reds and off-white and white. Yeah, that was really fun to put together. And then on the back, oh, I wish you could feel it. This little crocheted flower off of some random doily, it's perfect. And then a couple of Suffolk puffs came and joined it. One wonderfully smooth button. I slow stitched a circle there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and this provides 7. Odd numbers, they are your friend. So, this is my little art object book. And just enjoying it is the point. Making it was the point, enjoying it is the point. But then I thought, what would I put in a little love book? And I thought, you know what? I could put in signatures of people I love. So Carrie got hers in first, my middle sister. And I printed it on just a little piece of cotton and I stitched over it in red. And I'll probably stitch over, I don't know, maybe red. My dad wrote in a blue pen, so I may preserve that with a light blue or like a kind of a gray blue. I think I might do that. But I thought all these signatures can live together, stitched up in this little pocket. Little pocket square. And my grandmother's message, well, it might live in here too, or I may make another special. Now, can't you just imagine a little book, a little journal, a cloth journal, and you could print some of the messages from different cards that have been meaningful to you. You could print them on the cloth. I don't know if it'll fade over time. It may, but I think if you treat it a little bit and keep it out of the sun, like, everything we do, I think it would last. I mean, good heavens, how old are these textiles? I don't know. I think this one's probably pretty old. You guys know what I'm talking about. So, this is my little Valentine to myself. Oh, and this pocket. So I'm on the board of a group that works with survivors of trafficking. And one of their moms made us all these hearts. So that is going to live in here too. A little collection of things that mean a lot. I hope that's been helpful or enjoyable or encouraging in some way. So I would be very interested to know what you like to print on fabric, if you print on fabric. I'm looking forward to just stitching over these different little things. And, this, I couldn't crop this out well, so I'm just going to stitch a little design over it. That's the great thing. As K3N says, there's very few things that can't be improved with just some more stitching. I have taken that to heart because it's really true. If something's ever not going well, then more stitching. So I think I'm actually going to sit and stitch. Do a couple of these little signatures. All right, I had to pause for a moment because I realized I didn't have any thread or a needle or anything else that I could use to work on this. I was just a little bit excited about showing you what I was doing with this. Isn't it kind of fun how we get to share our projects? I love that, whether it's on one of the Facebook groups or in my Instagram over at Kate. It's Kate Stitching, just like on my YouTube channel. I'm over on Instagram, and I love to see what you guys are doing. So, sorry for the sudden movement there, just adjusting. But, when we're all both on Instagram, I can see what you're doing, and I love that. I can't tell you how cool it is to have this community of people who they just, we just get it. When one of you shares a vintage haul, I am 100% watching that video. And I actually have some special surprises to share with you later. So I'll be working on that because, oh my goodness, wait till I show you. Anyhow, because as we have clearly established, there are two hobbies here. One is collecting poor, sad linens that nobody cares about anymore and giving them a home and appreciating them and honoring the work that went into them. And then the other is using them, turning them into something beautiful. Or for my friends who put together little, stitch bundles. All I have to say is, because most of you live in Australia, the postage to get your beautiful things here is a little crazy. So I don't know, maybe I'll just have to have some of you guys save stuff up for a year and then send it all at once. That might make sense. But like picking up this little stitch bundle absolutely inspired me to make this entire book. I had not thought of doing this book until I saw those beautiful things. And I actually had that little collection of fabrics for a while. Let's see, I got it in December, the end of the month, right before my road trip up to Asheville. And then I brought it with me to Asheville, but nothing really hit me. And then the other day, just like, I think maybe 3 or 4 days ago, I was wanting a different project, and it just started. It wanted to be a little book, and I didn't know what for. And then it didn't really want to be a book for something. It just wanted to be beautiful. And who am I to deny a little piece of fabric becoming beautiful? I set this here because what I'm doing is pretty boring, but I felt like at least you could look at something pretty. And let's be honest, if you're like me, you've put this video on in the background and you are doing your own project, which is exactly why we like doing this. It's nice to have company with somebody who is also doing something creative. So you guys, I have not yet jumped into the Roxy's Journal of Stitchery thing. I am going to, and it is even taking shape in my head, but I have yet to stitch a single stitch of my still life. It has gone through several different designs in my head. Of course, I don't know. Did we all know that a vase of flowers was coming? I kind of feel like we all did. I don't know. It just maybe is what it needed to happen. But so I've been kind of seeing that in my mind's eye this whole time. And in fact, I've even pulled a textile that I think I want to use as my vase of flowers. So although now I'm not totally sure, because I love the different fabrics that I've seen different people using for their ginger jars. Oh, I don't know. I have a couple of ideas. But first I need to make my background. Oh, that. I don't know. Like, I just bought this really rough shape quilt pieces. It has a big chunk taken out of it, but somebody was selling it on Facebook Marketplace for hardly anything. And she threw in a couple of other things that I didn't even know about. She just brought them because I think she knew that I cared about linens. So that was very sweet. But anyway, I have a piece of quilt, and I thought, well, that could be a cool table covering. I'm thinking about that. And then, I don't know, there's so many. And then I have actual vintage tablecloths. Sometime I will show you my organization of all of my vintage linens, because I am not a naturally very organized person, and I'm fairly proud of it, because I just wanted to know what I had. And so now I feel like it's somewhat organized. And I have a whole tub of embroidered tablecloths. So I thought, well, part of one of those would work. Or, honestly, with the scale I'm working at, a tea towel would probably do the trick. So does it want to be that? Or of course, I could collage some other fabrics together. And that would be, I mean, that's kind of what my tendency would be to do a fabric collage of a bunch of my favorite fabrics, because who doesn't love an excuse to put together a bunch of your favorite fabrics? I don't know, that's kind of appealing. All right, so what are you doing? Some of you, I mean, if you're a YouTuber, I've probably watched your video and I've seen a little bit about what you're doing, and that is very cool. For those of you who maybe share in the Facebook group, you know, what are you doing? Did you make a really busy background? Did you go like full on curtains and wallpaper? Or did you decide to go with something simple and let the flowers stand out? I think that's kind of where I'm hung up. I don't know. You know, I don't know. I like to have a focal point. So part of me thinks some background that's more neutral and then letting my flowers really stand out might be cool. But of course, we've got like 40,000 other prompts ahead of us. So who knows? By the end, it might not do that anyway. So I might as well have fun with it. You know, and I think that's the point, isn't it? Just have fun with it. Don't overthink it. Anybody else have trouble with that? Oh, I love how that turned out. That's really fun. Okay. This is cool. You know, and it's like, this is it. This is all I'm doing with this. It'll just have a little, you know, these little signatures tucked in here. And I just am loving this. If you resonate with this project, you know, I'd love to see what you do with it. I mean, you could, it's funny because, I mean, really this is a journal, right? For all of my journaly friends. I used to journal every day, all the time. I do not journal all the time. I think because I always journaled in a narrative form. And then sometimes you just become where you don't, I don't know, you don't have the bandwidth to journal in narrative form. It's like writing a novel every day. You're like, I don't know, you know. And I do journal here and there, usually when I'm trying to process something, but not something, I don't know, where I see some of my friends and then like I see what they're doing with maybe just a little journal card. Or, you know, one of my friends here, she's done amazing things with journaling when she does a lot of like women's retreats and things like that. And the exercises she has for the women is so cool because, you know, it might be that they just write down a thought or 3 words or a word, and then they tuck that into a beautiful thing that they're making. And that is inspiring to me. Like having a creative, beautiful process of making something simple and beautiful, and then tucking some words that go with this season or something I'm learning. Like that, I don't know, that feels more doable than writing the Saga of Kate. I like it. It's all worthwhile. There's lots of ways to do these things, but I think that there's something up to that. And so one thought I had as I was making this little book was, well, maybe I'll make myself a little soft journal that is full of texture and things that feel nice and something to hold. Like, I cannot even tell you how much I love the back of this book. And that has lots of little pockets. And then, you know, I could write stuff on paper. I mean, it can be on cloth, but paper works, you know, and just have big enough pockets to put things in, which I know is what y'all do with the, you know, cool junk journaling things that you make. Kind of the same concept there. I'm just thinking that rather than invite paper into the situation, which I just can see getting out of control very quickly in my world, because paper, you know, like I was looking through some stuff while I was trying to find these signatures. I have a lot of things I could use for paper journals, but it's just not something I want to welcome into my space at this moment. I respect all of you who are able to do that, you know. This is really working. I'm so happy with it. And I really love, because I don't know, everybody else wrote in black, but my dad wrote in blue, so it just stands out. And it just preserves a little bit of this signature, this moment. In fact, I might do some of these in different colors. I did think about that. I have a whole bag of various shades of red. Is this not phenomenal? My friend Cheryl gave me a ton of stuff. She's a quilter, and I think I've mentioned her before. She does all this amazing work. But she was getting rid of a bunch of things that she wasn't really using, and I think maybe that she'd gotten from her mother. And she had already given a bunch to someone else. And let me take not only so much thread, but also a ton of buttons. And I'm so excited about the buttons because I didn't have any good buttons. And now I have a whole bunch. Not only that, go ahead, ask me, Kate, were they organized in any fashion? Why, yes. Yes, they were. They are all organized by color in little jars. They are actually ice cream jars. They are the cutest ice cream jars I've ever seen. Here, I gotta show you one. Look at this. This is one of the ice cream jars. Whose ice cream is this cute? I can't read it. Talent, gelato, whatever. All I know. Yeah, there you go. These little gelato jars are the seriously cutest thing I've ever seen. And now I've got loads of buttons, all organized by color, thanks to my friend Cheryl. That was insanely generous of her. But she's like, seriously, I need it out of my house. I'm like, I will be there in 2 seconds. Isn't it amazing when somebody shares freely with you? In fact, you guys, I am going on Saturday. This lady posted on Facebook Marketplace that, no, actually, you know what? It was, okay, so I was on this other thread and somebody was cleaning out their house with some stuff and wanted to offer it to this group of moms first. And then this other lady posted just as a comment that she needs to get rid of a bunch of stuff. And I had posted, well, if anybody has vintage linens that you don't want or doilies or anything like that, I would be happy to give them a purpose and come pick them up. Well, this lady she commented on that and she said, I am needing to clean out a bunch of linens that belong to my family, but I just don't use them and I don't really want them. Oh, I am going over there on Saturday. There we are. Love, Dad. I love this so much. There's something about taking a signature of somebody you love and making it tactile that, I don't know. My family lives really far away and I don't get to see them very often. So having something that they wrote and then I stitched and I can touch it and hold it, I like it. I think that is something I'm really going to cherish. So love, Dad goes in the little pocket. All right, I'm going to keep going on a few of these and I'll be right back. Well, I decided I would go with different colors for each person. I love purple. It's really vibrant and it is. It's full of fun. And oh my goodness, my grandmother was, she was a character. I loved her. She was a grandma who, when I was little, I didn't quite know what to think of her. But then as I got older, I grew to appreciate her sense of humor, and she was an amazing lady. And I think purple suits her. So I am finishing up the last of my little signatures. I have my dad and my mom, my 2 sisters, and my grandmother to start. Now I will be asking my kids and of course my sweet husband, and I'll put them in, and I'm trying to find something signed by my other grandmother. I will find something. I'll have to go back further. That's all right. This is one of those projects that I can just add to over time. And as I come across things that matter to me and people, I've already pulled a couple of other signatures of very dear friends that I want to include. But I think it's one of those projects that I can just add to. And it's gotten me thinking about the ways that I can incorporate things that feel historic into some of my work. As I mentioned, most of my education has been in history and in literature. So basically stories. And so, I've been thinking about how to incorporate family stories into my stitching. And I think that this is one way to do it. Whether it is taking something that their name, and tucking it away so that it's part of what I'm making, or whether it might be, I don't know, some other storytelling, maybe some things that remind me of different people in my family. I have one little thing that I got the other day. I'll have to show you. But it's got me thinking. I am very curious, beyond incorporating fabrics that have meaning, which I think is what I've been thinking up to this point. I've been trying to track down fabric from different parts of my family because I didn't have a lot of textiles passed down to me. I'm looking for more, and I think there might be a little bit more out there. So there is that. But, if you don't have that, besides adopting other people's family textiles, which is pretty much what I've been doing, like a mad woman, what are the other options available? My family's very musical, so maybe I will print some music that is meaningful to our family onto fabric and incorporate that in. Maybe I don't know. I'm not as much into printing photographs. I am a photographer, and photographs have a big role in me telling family history, but I tend to just like them kind of in their pure on the wall form, or, in other formats. I don't know. I mean, I could print them on fabric, but I think I like things that are more symbolic. But there's something about words. I don't know. There might be a place for that. Now, my grandma's signature has this funny little thing that was part of the card that she wrote it on. And I don't know that I want to leave it like that. So now I'm looking around and thinking, I don't know how that could go there. There's always something that could go there. I know that somewhere they even have some purple trims and purple scraps. There's lots of things that could fit. I could put a little tiny flower there. That would be really sweet. I like that. Let's see. What else do I have laying around? What about a tiny little flower? I like that it has two colors on that. I think that might be. This little doily is very worse for wear, but I think I might liberate this one flower. Oh yeah, that's it. That is what wants to live there. So let's just add this little flower. And Grandma, you get a little decoration. And that, if you knew my grandmother, oh my goodness, what a lady. She was just so funny. You never really, well, I wouldn't say you never knew what she was going to say, but that is kind of true. She was amazing. She was also an incredible pianist. And I am not as talented as she was, but I went long with piano. I took for a long time, and now I play every week. Music is a huge part of my life. So my grandmother's piano was down in my living room, and now I play it and my kids play it, and so many memories around that piano. But anyway, she was quite a lady, and I think that there's just something a little extra about having a little flower on Grandma's signature. I'm trying not to gather it up too much. Now, I will tell you straight off, I probably should have stitched this with 2 or 3 strands. I stitched it with 6, which a lot of you are probably saying, what in the world? Why would you do that? Well, it was because I really wanted to cover over all of the writing. And it's not, I don't know, the legibility isn't the main thing in this project. But that being said, I could see maybe at some point, doing these signatures again. I don't know. Maybe I'll experiment and do them with something else. It's possible. I like that little flower. It looks like a little face. Certain flowers always look like faces, like little lion faces or something. All right, so Grandma, you get a special little flower. She'd get a kick out of that. So here we are. I have my family that I grew up with, and then I still need to get my other grandmother. I don't think I have anything signed by my grandfather. I'll have to look. But in any case, I have these signatures of my dear family, and they are going to go in this little pocket where I can know that they're just tucked away. And that is my little art book that has a secret. I hope you enjoyed this. I would love to see what you might make that kind of captures some different aspect of your life or people who matter to you. So that is all for tonight, and I can't wait to see you soon. Please comment below, like, subscribe, all of those things. I do appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing some of your work. Please do leave your Instagram handle below if you're on Instagram so that I can see what you do. All right, see you soon.